ones you don't need to know about. Okay, so lately I've everything's kind of settled down a little bit. After the holidays, after the rough times, after the dealing with all the things that you deal with in working in retail, things are starting to kind of settle down, calming in the waters. I'm starting to be able to see the bottom now. And as I did, I had a moment where I started realizing that I feel very good. I mean, not physically. Physically, my body hurts horribly, the whole body. But mentally, I feel good and happy and okay and calm. And like everything will work out. And then it came to me. With everything that's been as you can see in the videos, all the things I've been talking about really distilled. Each video here is a distillation of what I'm feeling in my life generally. This is my outlet to let it out. So sometimes things come across really intense. Does that really mean I'm fucking walking around feeling that way every day? No, not really. But it's quietly in the mind. And this is kind of the place that I like to bring that out. So in saying that and talking about I'm feeling a lot better lately, I think it's because I feel like I've been reborn. I've woken up long ago. I went through the process, and here I come out and into a new. And that comes to a little thing that just came in my head, okay? And that was, I don't want to be a cog in the machine of another man's dream. That's what encapsulated, symbolized everything I've been dealing with the past few years. That's fucking it. I don't want to be a cog in the machine of another man's dream. Now, the depth of that is what we've been discussing in terms of what consciousness is. And as we join into consciousness, what we can contribute to that. So, civilization, society, culture, this is all kind of a dream state. It's an idea that we can enter into. I'm not saying that it's bad or good. It's just, it is. It's like, is the fucking ocean good or bad? It's just like that. Like, you can't say that. This is the same. The ocean of consciousness is what we can access and live inside. But as strange as human beings, we can kind of navigate it. I can say, I don't want to embrace that cultural thing. I can say, I don't want to accept that religion. I can say, I don't goddamn know. Something else. We can pick and kind of choose how we live inside this. But it came to my mind that I want to be me. And this realization came, this okayness, this I don't want to be a cog in the machine of another man's dream. Sometimes when you know a song and you hear it, you relate to it, that becomes your vocal point. That becomes something that you can use and say, this is how I feel. And it hit me. John Lennon, he has a song called God. Now, for me, that is exactly how I feel now in my life. Let me just read some of the lyrics to you and kind of show you what I'm talking about. Woo, it's like, the first verse begins with, God is a concept by which we measure our pain. But then he goes into I don't believe in the second verse. And it starts very high and it starts very ethereal. Then it gets closer and closer into his more personal life. It says, I don't believe in magic, I Ching, the Bible, tarot, Hitler, Jesus, Kennedy, Buddha, mantra, Gita, yoga. I don't believe in kings. And then all of a sudden, like that's from spiritual to state. And then he goes into, I don't believe in Elvis. I don't believe in Zimmerman, which is Bob Dylan. And I don't believe in Beatles. I just believe in me. And he says, Yoko and me, that's reality. Now, that is exactly what I've been kind of going through, this rebirth, and I think it comes to people that are on this different level where you can kind of, you're peeling away these layers of things. Like someone's like, okay, well, you don't want to be a Christian. Why don't you become like a Buddhist or something? You don't want to be this. Why don't you do that? If you don't like this, why don't you do that? And maybe you bite for a while, but after a little bit, you're just like, I don't want any of that shit. It's just none of this means anything to me. So I just, it's really difficult to just constantly goddamn do this. Where it's like, it's all these things. I'm not trying to deny other people's faith. I'm not trying to deny and make small someone's belief system, but at the same time, I can't just ignore shit and be like, yeah, I'll just pretend I don't know these things so I can just conform. Because I don't think people see that that's what you have to do. You really have to conform. The last video, I really kind of spoke on how I felt unease with religion. I'd have to just suppress that and like push that down and go like, no, that's just my hang-ups and I need to just behave and be a good boy and do what they tell me to do. And I can't do that. That's just, I think that's bullshit. And I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to live my life full of fear and just doing what people say because they tell me to do it. Because I thought about this, and during these reflections, I was having some quiet time. I really remember, even as a kid, I don't know how often I would walk around in this world and think, who the fuck am I? Like, why am I even here? What is this? This is crazy. I don't know how many times, even as like a small child, I would just sit and just watch things and just be flabbergasted, amazed, confused, just damn right. I just don't even know how to put into words, honestly. I was really trying to think, how can I put this into words that you'd get it? And I can only say I was just mind blown. Watching kids interact with each other in school, watching teachers talk to kids, going out and going shopping, hanging out with friends, understanding that they're separate humans than I. The idea of what school is, what it is to wear certain clothes, music, my parents, family members, homes, the woods. I just was always like, this is fucking crazy. I can't fathom this. I can't fathom it. And I would just sit there all the time as a kid and all the way up until fucking sitting right here, right now. I'm just like, I don't understand that. What the fuck is going on here? How do I know how to handle this shit? And then everyone else, this is how I used to define it, because they didn't really think that way, or they'd say, you just got to kind of blah, 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 or yeah, it is crazy, but whatever. I thought like, oh, they know what's up, and I'm sitting here, I don't know what's going on. I'm the weird one, I guess, or something, because no one else is as mind blown as me. I'll still do that to this day. I'll be sitting on the couch with my wife, and we're watching Murder, She Wrote, and I'll look over to her, and it'll just click. I'm like, this is a separate human being who is deciding to live and trust me so fully that her guard is so down that she doesn't, like, I don't even explain it. She doesn't even have any guard up. Relaxed, hanging out, cares deeply about me, a separate human being that's lived a separate life all the way up to 20-something years old when I met her. And now we're sharing a world together. And I'll just look at her and smile. I'm like, this is fucking insane. In a good way. Like, holy shit. Like, this is... Can you believe that we're here right now? Can you believe that we're together? Can you believe that this is even happening? And sometimes I can see her get taken aback by that question. Like, yeah. Other times she might bite. I'm like, yeah, it is pretty crazy. I've always felt that way. Just, this is nuts. And because I think the reason I bring that up, because I've had that attitude in my life, I've had that perspective, if you will, I think it's made the concept of being in another man's dream more obvious to me. that you can live your life that way. Because I start to see these different things that people do, and they're almost like different clothes that they put on, different things that they don, as in religion and politics and even cultural aspects and just thoughts in general, right? We all agree in the society that this. I'm like, these are just different clothes that they wear. But that's not really them. There's no way. And I'll go back to how I said, like, oh, I thought everyone else was in the know and I'm the crazy one, right? Well, then I started realizing that a lot of people don't question this stuff. Either they lack the capacity to, generally, and I don't mean that negatively, it's just they don't think like that. They just lack the capacity to think this way. Or they don't allow themselves, which I think that there's more of a case to that. They don't allow themselves to fucking feel this way. For some reason, they have to kind of ingest a substance to be able to think this way. I think weed is a good one because it slows shit down so you can process this stuff. That's why you get mind blown when you're high. It's like, congratulations, welcome to my fucking world, dude. It feels that way. That's why I stopped getting high. I'm like, this is just a little bit more heightened version of what I've already been feeling, and I don't want to deal with this. I already disassociate enough. I don't need this anymore. And so I started realizing that, like, wow, people aren't on this pedestal, because that's what I would do. I would belittle myself, and I would say, I'm lesser than thou and they, because they get it, and I don't. And clearly, I have to learn what they need, what they have, and I have to let go of what I am. And I carry this around with me so much. But I'm okay now. I've figured it out, man. Like I've realized it's another man's dream. And I mean that ethereally, of course. It's someone else's world. I'm constantly trying to fit in people's world for them to make it easier on me and easier on them. I've never met a person that doesn't like me, even if they've only met me for 5 fucking seconds. People like me a lot because I don't want to say conform to them, but I shape myself in the kindness towards them based upon what they're putting out. You push things to the surface that you're a little nervous about, and I hold it and say it's okay. So that makes me a likable person. I'm allowing you to have your world in front of me, and I will live in it with you for that moment. But what happened was along the way, I lost myself in doing that. I kept living in everyone's world. Like this person that I know is very religious. I'll make you feel good about that. I'll be in there with you. But then I lose myself in it and think I have to be as well. This person right here has a lot of trauma, and they use me as a anchor point for their emotional and mental stability. And I would make that so, and I would allow that to happen and live in that. You name it. I've done it. But now I'm okay. I've learned how to navigate these realms. I've learned how to see people, and instead of getting upset by an opinion they have, a sentiment they carry, even if they try to outwardly be hurtful towards something that is meaningful to me, I understand now. Sometimes I always say it like they only know the world's about as big as what their arms can reach. Most people are like that. This is all the world is to me. So all those things matter. From how I drive my car, to how I preach, to how I do my job, to how I raise my kids. Most people can't really see beyond that. For instance, if someone's a scared person and they're afraid to navigate the world, you see that in how they drive. When they're very defensive and they go, exactly the speed limit. And, other people are more free about it. They realize that, there's a yin and yang to life, and they drive better. You see that in work, I'm sure. You look at someone who does it by the books, and you look at someone who's kind of a maverick, if you will. You see that in people in your family, just how they behave. They can't help that. And I think in my estimation, how it is for me, as I've begun to realize that I don't really, because I can go in and out and in and out and go all these places mentally and be everything, and it gave me a good insight of empathy, because this is just being an empathetic person, to go in and out as such, to totally forget you as a human being. I wouldn't even remember that I'm alive. I would do this so much that I'd forget, like, oh yeah, I'm a human too. I'm in this world. I'm not just watching a screen. Because sometimes that's what life would feel like for me. I felt like I would go months and not realize, oh shit, I'm also human. I'm a guy that's supposed to do his own thing when he's alone. I would just do that all the time. There's times I still kind of do that. I'll sit and just fucking watch life happen with people, and go in their heads with them and get to hear their world, and listen to their inner monologues, and let them explore that and watch them interact in their life, and be a partner in that. I would do that for so long that I'd forget, oh shit, look down, dude. You are also here. You are also here. You know? But again, I'm okay now. I know that I can do those things. I can jump inside the other, but I've learned that I can also come back to myself and be me. Because there's a, what's the word? There's a burden to living that way empathetically. Because at the end of the day, all you're really trying to do is help people, understand people, get to know them on a deeper level, in some way of seeking to heal them. And that's all I've ever really tried to do. So when you're doing that, you kind of put your own ego aside. And as I got into spirituality, they always talk about the ego, the ego, the ego. And getting rid of the ego is this difficult thing. You have to kind of separate it. You have to understand it. I'm like, that's the easy part. Ego is easy. You just don't do you for a while, if you want to make it into simple terms. To understand another, that's the ticket, man. That's all there is to it. It's coming to terms with the other. Because when you do this, there's a danger. So when you're empathetic and you can drop your own ego for a while and be within others, there's a danger to it, and that is misidentifying that is you. Because when you are doing that and this person is, let's say, suffering, well, I can heal that. I know what you need to do because I can see it externally. Like when you hear a couple talking about their problems, and you're like, oh dude, they just do this and that, because you're separate from the situation. You've eliminated the emotionality of it, and you can see. That's why people go to therapy. Well, sometimes when you have that perspective, but you're allowing yourself to go inside this person, you're like, I'll just do it. I can fix you. I can do this. I know how to help you. But that's not what people need, because they have to learn. That was the hardest fucking lesson, I think, when it comes to spirituality. Is allowing yourself to realize that, yes, just because you can go inside of another in a spiritual sense, doesn't mean you can control that too. No one ever taught me that. That's something that comes with it, I think, when you do it enough. And in doing that, I think I said on these videos at some point, I began to realize, man, I don't really hurt when it comes to myself. Everyone else is why I'm in pain, emotionally. I'm only sad because everyone else. I'm not sad about mine. I'm chill. I'm sad for them. And that's what it is. You're acting externally and identifying it internally. And so your suffering is born outwardly, but it comes to the point where it interacts with you internally. That's been a hard fucking road, man, to come to terms with all this shit. But I'm okay now. I don't want to be a cog in the machine of another man's dream. It's acted out in ire when you explain it that way, but it has these humble intent. Sometimes these thoughts, these things that people do, that they justify their lives, it gets really big. And it gets hella big. And it has deep, rich history. Like religion. It's got a very thick and wondrous tapestry of history that spans thousands of years. But you have to know that it comes from this very same place that I've been describing this whole time. Some internal world that people create. Like John Lennon said, God is a concept by which we measure our pain. It's more than that, but that is a very big sentiment that is correct. People come to these things when they need help. Jesus will always be there. Meditation is how I heal, learning the scripture, blah, blah, blah. Following the, what I'm saying? Like people use it to have a positive outcomes. They come to it with a negativity and they use religion as something to help get out and to be more positive, or maybe not even positive, maybe just understand their world and the duality of it and being okay with there's devils in the world. There's evil afoot, but there's a plan to it all. It's just a process which people use to measure their pain. Like, it's so fucking crazy. That's why I was listening to that song with John Lennon. I'm like, this is fucking it, dude. I'm done. I don't have to work anymore. He said it all. That's exactly how I feel. It's religion to me. Remember, if you watch back, you see, to me, it's like I'm fighting a giant. David and Goliath, right? There's a story. It felt like that. I'm like, I'm fighting this giant monster. I don't know how to, I can't get away from it. It's so encompassing. It's trying to fucking swallow me whole. And now I feel like I fucking slung the rock and hit it. And it's crumbling. And I'm like, holy shit, it's not as big as we make it. It's just, well, it is as big as we make it, but it's not as big that to me anymore. I can shrug that off and be okay. And be a human fucking being for the first time in my life. But I got to caveat all this with one thing. This was of no one's doing but my own. I was not being suppressed by evil demons. I was not being held down and forced by wicked people. I've been saying it in the past few videos. They're only doing what they think is right, and that's all they know, so that's all they can give me. This is not me fighting an evil giant. This is me fighting an egregore that has grown beyond anything we could ever understand. But I'm okay now. I've identified these facts and I feel like a human being. Like my own human being. Suffering quietly in the darkness as I was as a child and into my young adult life was difficult. But it was a road that forged the person you see now. It made me. To be able to see, I think I said it in the last two videos, inherited structures of like these mental inherited structures, these cultural and religious systems that people use for their morality, for their emotional stability, for their balance of fear and love, and they're even understanding the world around them. I don't know how many times I'll sit here my whole life and be like, man, right? Like, I don't know what this is. And everyone would just give me the answer as if like, yeah, it's obvious what it is. It's, this is the playground for the courtroom between Jesus and the devil. But what side are you going to be on? Or this is a place where you must make amends so you can move on to the next realm. You have to learn something here and you have to move on. What are other things that people have told me? None of this really matters. It's just a place and life happens. And then when you die, it goes away. There's been so many things that everyone's told me. And I'm like, how do you fucking know this? As if you just know this. You don't. You don't. You believe you know. Because every time whatever someone would say, I'd be like, well, I mean, it's a possibility. But how the fuck do I know if you're right or wrong? I'm not challenged. I will never challenge someone on that because that's not my place. That's up to you to live your life that way. I'm not going to fix you. I can just go, oh, that's interesting, I suppose. And reflect and realize I don't get it. There's too many moving parts for me. Because you know how I am. You watch these fucking videos. I'm sitting here like compartmentalizing, breaking it down. And I've wrote 10 volumes and I still don't get it. That's just my personality. I have to understand things. And if it's not making sense, then I'm not, I will keep it. I will bookmark that and place it on the shelf and say, I'll come back to that if I can find a point to it. If I can reflect on that in a new way, maybe that'll help me. That's just who I am. But so far, I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And maybe just like when I was a kid, walking around being mind blown by this world and going, I don't understand what the fuck the point of this is, or what the hell am I even doing here? What the hell is all this shit? This is nuts. Yeah, I still feel that way. But I'm becoming more of myself in that process. Over these years of just continuously doing this shit. That's why they say like, the definition of insanity, right? They always use that. I'm like, I don't know about that one either. Because that's literally what I've been doing. I've been pounding away at the same thing all these years. And all of a sudden, boom, we just cracked a fucking rock. I'm a human being. I don't know about their whole insanity thing. I think that's just a deterrent. Because I feel as if I'm finally cracking the code now of my life. Not to say that I have the answers of the universe. I'm just saying my perspective. And what that perspective has created, I don't know if there's such thing as good and evil. I think that's just a perception. Religion is just a concept. It's a thought process that we use for our moral system, our good and evil, how to behave. And we use it, just like John Lennon said, as a place which we come to with pain and suffering so that we can come out. It's a filtering process. It's a place that we can use to make ourselves feel better in a world that we're scared of. I've realized the world and I are similar but different. That I am of the world because I live here. I was fucking born, right? But right now, where I live, it is, I think, negative 14 degrees outside. If I go out and just this, and I just go stand out in the woods, I'll probably die within an hour, barefoot and shorts and all. So I have to kind of combat the world. I've learned a lot through Greek mythology. I've learned a lot in which they have portrayed the world and the way that we live inside of it. That the Greek heroes and gods are symbols of being. They are reflections. When they say that the Greek gods are human-like in their form, and when they get like jealous and they get kind of backstabby and do that stuff, that's saying that these higher beings, though divine, are limited by the human capacities that they hold, as we are. The world around us is this fantastical place that holds no bounds for good and evil and right and wrong. And, well, there's a tsunami coming, but it's not right to do that to these people, so I won't. It doesn't work that way. The only thing that does work that way is the human mind. And so our definition of divinity is that which chooses. That's just how it's like, that's what we define, right? God chooses whether to do this or that. God works in mysterious ways. Choice. That's what separates mankind from earth. Choice. That is another grand thing that I've learned. And then I've also learned, though you can understand people deeply on a level that even I still to this day really can't explain to you, this is a personal one. I'm not them. Though I can know you on a level like no one's ever known you. Though I can be friends with someone and they just see me as the greatest friend ever. I'm not them, though. That's a personal one, because I'll get lost in that shit. I will think we are this. Me and you, we're that thing. That's us. We are one unit moving in. But that's not us anymore. You know? And along the way, I had to shed all these belief systems, all these concepts, all these things that I really held on to. Like, no, this matters. And I've had to hold them in my hand and just kind of break them on the ground and say, what did that mean to me? What is this? What am I? And that process has been fucking difficult. And I've just been like, all along the way, I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I can't. And I kept fighting and fighting, and I just didn't want to do it. I want to give up. I want to give up. Can I just rest, please? I'm in so much pain. My body hurts so fucking bad. I just want to relax. I want to rest. And I pushed myself into mental barriers I didn't know I had. I pushed myself beyond physical pains. I pushed myself beyond emotional pain. And I've gotten to this place now where I'm like, oh, wow, okay. It's beyond all of that. It's beyond all of that. I no longer fear religion. Because when you're working against it, you kind of have you have a fear of it, right? And you're justifying. And then I just realized like that's what I was doing. Don't. There's nothing to fear. It's not going to get you in a big bad guy way. It just exists. It's like me fearing that there's a possibility of cougars out in the woods. You don't just sit there and fucking fear that. You're going to fear the coulda. You're going to fear the coulda. What I mean by that is when people say, what the hell, you could have died there. When you do something. Maybe you're driving, you do something kind of crazy. I don't know. Or maybe you do things like, you could have gotten in trouble. You could have done that. You could have done that. When you broke that, you could have gotten this, you know. And you say, yeah, could have, but did I? Right? That's the mentality. Yeah, I could have, but I did not. Right? When I was going 65 down a frozen road, I could have died, but did I? You know, could have, or did I? Right? Like, what really happened there? A lot of things could have fucking happened. I could sit here right now, my chair could break and I could fall. It could have happened. I could try to get up here and send this video. Oh, I got corrupted. It could have. I could have tried to turn this light off and the bulb shattered, but it didn't. Did it? That mentality. You got to get out of the coulda thing. That's living a life of fear. Like, there is something to be said about the human primal state in which we're trying to protect ourselves. Like, well, there could be a lion out there. You know, there could be a threat. Right? I need to be on my guard, be ready. Like, yeah, you know, that plays a role, of course. Don't like drop it. But understand that you do that. Because as I'm feeling, I'm okay now. Everything that we've discussed, everything that we've gone through in the past few years, none of it is dropped and erased. It was set aside from like religion and politics and cultural things and us talking about all the things we've talked about. Set them aside, but I did not get rid of them. I could have, but I didn't. They're sitting over there, and I'm like, I can understand that I live in a world with this. It's like knowing that, like, yes, do I want to go out in the woods and just hang out? Yeah, that'd be awesome, but there's a fucking bear out there, so I can't. It's like that. Just, I know that I can do these things if I'm smart, but don't just ignore them outright, because then they sneak up and get you. And that's kind of what I realized when it comes to all these thought forms, these inherited structures, these concepts that people live inside. Accept that they're there, accept that people need them, do not look down on anybody, and keep moving forward. That's where we are now. Because when you lived a life empathetically, and you've broken from it, you start to look down on everyone around you because they're living these lives and you're not. So you look down on them. And I did too, for a long time. And you saw it on these videos. But now I'm realizing do not look down on them. Look across. That is someone living their own life, their own way, the only way they know how. Who are you to judge that, Mr. Judge? And so in doing that, I've realized break the wall down and move forward. You can be yourself. You can drop all these things you once identified as. You can break these walls of what things really are. You can live your life in this heightened sense of awareness. But that doesn't mean you're up there. You're here too. Or else I wouldn't be sitting here and I'd be floating away, right? I'm in this world, so I might as well live in this world. And just because someone says something to you, or tells you to do something, or says what's good for you, but you really should know, and this will save your life, it doesn't mean it's gospel. You can make your own decisions based on what you need for yourself. You just have to do it for yourself. You know what you want. If you're someone that doesn't want to live in this world for a long time, you know what you need to do that. If you're someone that wants to fucking harness everything you can in this world, you know what you need to do that. And everything in between. It's a very, very tricky place. But I think in time it will all make sense once you start to unravel all of these things. And that should be the end of this video and this point in my life. Like it's a new moment being born mentally. I found who I want to be right now, and I shall be that. I have really no desire to write as of yet, so I won't. Don't force it. There is no time limit. I will do what I feel I need to do when I feel I need to do it. But at the same time, I will push myself to complete tasks that I have laid out. And that will be the Forgotten series. I do need to finish that. At least season 1. And then once season 1 is complete, I think we're out of the woods a little bit. The Forgotten series is a reflection of my spiritual journey up to that point, and I need to close the door. Right now we're deep in the door. We got to get dove out and back into the feasts and all that stuff going on in the Yandra. And we will. And that will come whenever I can work on it. But until that point, I shall see you then in the next one. We'll see what comes of all this.